Good. Okay, good morning and welcome to the regular board meeting of Tuolumne Utilities District for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. Director Balin, would you lead us in the pledge to the flag, please?
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Balin. Okay, we're going to change up the order of the agenda here this morning. We're going to move number 3 under regular business up to right now, and public forum will come after a short break after this first item is taken care of. So, Melissa, would you like to read that item?
Approve resolution honoring Travis Newman.
Okay.
Okay, good morning, President Kearns, Vice President Ringen, Director Boatwright, Balin, Director Jacobs, and the audience. It is with love and honor that I get to introduce this item. In a few minutes, Abby and Carolyn and the gang are going to say a few words about Travis. But for me, first, I know you've heard me before, but just tell you a few things about Travis. For those of you who had the opportunity to go to Travis's service or his reception, you can see that he had an impact on hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the entire county. He had that same level of impact here at work. He brought that same enthusiasm, quirkiness, and funniness to work as well. Something that we learned to love. We have to be here. This is a place of work, but it is sort of a family atmosphere as well. And Travis brought a lot of things that made coming to work enjoyable. And for me personally, he also had a level of tenacity. He knew his job and he knew his role, and he did it well. I relied on Travis to do lots of things besides his daily activities. As a general manager, we have to look around the corner, we have to look out in the future and anticipate things. And I needed people such as Travis to help me do those sorts of things, and Travis did that. He was a champion for TUD. He worked very hard. He knew his role here, and he cared deeply about how he was going to help protect the district and the ratepayers. So Travis is going to be missed. So thank you. Go ahead. I'll turn over to Abby now. Okay, Carolyn.
Whereas Tuolumne Utilities District lost an invaluable employee and friend on March 22nd, 2024 with the passing of Travis Newman. And whereas Travis served the public for over 11 years at Tuolumne Utilities District out of the county technician. And whereas Travis was consistently commended for being a team player, detailed and diligent, and was often requested by name for help on special projects, not only because of his abilities, but because of his cooperative nature. And whereas Travis could be counted upon to catch errors buried deep in spreadsheets or invoices, and he had an eagle eye when it came to noticing important details that could have cost the district had they not been detected.
Is that volume okay? Can you guys, everybody hear?
No, Carolyn, can you switch that?
Yes.
Dawn has the hot mic. Okay, wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. I will continue. And whereas Travis's sense of humor, energy, and smile enriched those fortunate enough to know him and work with him. And whereas Travis was respected and a well-liked coworker, but also a beloved friend to many employees at Tuolumne Utilities District, some of which asked to share the following words about Travis to honor his memory and for his family to treasure.
to say, can you hear me? To say you were Travis's friend was a true honor. And to be able to work with him was the same. His quick wit and joking personality brought a lightness and energy that will forever be missed. He always made you feel that no matter what you were going through, better days were ahead. One of his favorite things to do was eat. And what to eat was almost always a daily topic of discussion with us. I will forever treasure our lunches together because they were filled with so much laughter that sometimes it made it difficult to finish our lunches. He could make you laugh like nobody I have ever met. It will be extremely difficult to continue without him, but his friendship, advice, and of course, his snack preferences will be something I will carry with me for the rest of my life. He was a one-of-a-kind friend, and I know that I will never find another one like him. I'll never forget whenever I was in a meeting or stepped outside of my office for a moment, or even to get a quick drink. Travis always thought it was funny to hang an out to lunch sign on my door and shut my lights off. I cannot tell you how many times I came walking up to my office with the lights off, and there was his sign. Co-workers thought it was strange at first that I would be at lunch at 8 o'clock in the morning, but then quickly figured out it was just Travis being Travis. He made us all laugh with his witty sense of humor and the light and laughter he brought will forever be missed.
Okay. Travis was more than just a coworker to me. He was a good friend from the day we started at TUD together. He had a way about him that instantly made you feel like you've been friends for years. You could always be yourself around Travis, and his great sense of humor never failed to lift my spirits. Whenever I needed a pick-me-up or a break from a stressful work situation, I would march into Travis's office where he would have me laughing within seconds. But beyond being a source of laughter, Travis was also someone who was always there to lend a helping hand. Whether it be helping to carry a heavy load, opening the door for you if your hands were full, or offering a ride after work, he was always there to help a friend in need. I'll never forget the time my neighbor called me at work because my sheep had escaped their pasture. I panicked and went straight to Travis for help. Without hesitation, he grabbed his truck keys and we rushed to my house. What followed was a comical scene of the two of us dressed in our work attire, running around a hot, dry, hilly pasture filled with weeds and brush, chasing the sheep, waving our arms and yelling at the top of our lungs to get them back into the pasture. We were sweaty and dirty by the time we finally succeeded. And when we got back to the truck, we looked at each other and just laughed at the absurdity of the whole situation. That was the kind of person he was. He could turn even the most challenging circumstance into something worth laughing about. And never taking anything too seriously and always there to help a friend. I'm sorry. I feel really lucky to have known Travis. He left an indelible mark on my life, and I'm thankful to have been able to call him my friend.
Okay. I'm reading this part for his friend Eric Hall. Travis could always stay positive in stressful situations and had an infectious laugh that could be heard throughout the office. He will be missed and he is irreplaceable. Travis brought a lightness to heavy times and people extremely well. Travis's passing has certainly left a big void here at TUD, and I will miss him very much. He was a great employee who could be trusted and had integrity. You could count on him to make you smile, share a laugh or story, brag about his family, and bring the best dish to the potluck. Thank you, Tracy. Now, Travis's office shared a wall with the women's restroom. Could get a little dicey. But I remember one day about 5 years ago, a female employee was calling for help through the wall. Travis sprung into action and got me and another female employee to go in and help her while he stayed close and ready to help. Understanding the sensitive nature of the situation, Travis remained 100% respectful and discreet. The employee recovered well, and she was extremely grateful for Travis's quick action. Travis continued to check in with the employee in the days that followed as he genuinely cared about her well-being. He was such a good man who, regardless of what was going on, was always there to help. Thank you guys for being here.
Coworker would never be an appropriate title for me to call him. He was a really good friend. And the laughter he brought daily will be something I truly miss. He was dedicated in every aspect of the word, a dedicated employee, a dedicated husband, dedicated father, a dedicated friend. Anyone who worked with him understood that because that's how he approached everything. Every time we'd go to lunch, I'd make him drive because he was dedicated to keeping his truck clean. I'd say the only thing he needed to dedicate more time to was working on his dance moves, which I got to witness firsthand at an after-hours event at a Tyler conference we attended. Sorry, Tracy, although I'm sure you'd understand. Travis made work fun, and I am so thankful for that.
We will all sorely miss Travis. My comments are short, but very heartfelt. I especially appreciated his friendliness, his clever and sometimes very sarcastic sense of humor, his generosity and competence. I do and will miss him very much. We're all deeply saddened and praying for all of you during this time of sadness.
I know words aren't enough. But Travis made a lot of people laugh around here at TUD. On several occasions, I could hear him laughing along with others all the way down the hallway from the other side of the building. He had a great smile and was a trusted colleague, especially when it came to the finances of the district. I was frequently in Steve's office asking questions related to project accounting, and Travis had an uncanny knack of arriving at the doorway behind me and answering the question before I could even finish explaining the question. We spoke many times about his children and how great of a runner his daughter Audria was, and he displayed her paintings proudly in his office. I will miss seeing his shiny, so clean you could eat off the hood truck in the parking lot, and his spirit will not be forgotten.
Travis was the type of person that made people smile in every interaction. He seemed somehow to always be upbeat. He brought that joy to our whole office. In addition to his jovial side, he cared greatly for the well-being of others. I recall multiple incidents in which customers were being particularly aggressive or confrontational at the front counter with female staff members, myself being one. And Travis took it upon himself to come up and help diffuse many situations without ever being asked. He would just appear when there was confrontation. And he did this simply because he thought it was the right thing to do. That was the kind of person that he was. I feel extremely fortunate to have known and worked with Travis over the last 7 years. He will forever be missed and in our hearts.
I wrote a few words, but I want to add a little bit afterwards, if that's okay. So the nature of our work here in the office is not always exciting. Sometimes it can be pretty challenging. But it seemed like it was just near impossible to enter Travis's office and be able to leave without having a laugh or two, sometimes 3 or 4. I just always look forward to, I could have called him, could have emailed him, but I always went down there to talk to him because it was always just so enjoyable. I knew Travis just through 4-H a little bit. We were a couple years apart. I was a little bit older. In high school, his circle of friends sort of overlapped with mine somewhat. But I didn't really get to know him until we got here. And yeah, it's just, he was always playing pranks. Hopefully it doesn't get me in trouble. But playing with our monitor cables and keyboards and things like that. He's hard to keep up with that. And I remember he knew me when people called me Tony. And so he would call me Tony most of the time, sometimes. But when he wanted to try to get to me, he called me Tony Baloney. So I thought, well, Travis said I couldn't come up with anything. I couldn't come up with anything that rhymed with Travis. And so I Googled it. There's nothing rhymes with Travis, other than maybe Paris, which didn't seem to work. And he enjoyed that because I couldn't come back with something like that. So I'm gonna miss him. I miss him a lot.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Is there anyone else, employees that are here that would like to say anything before we move on? Not to put you on the spot. Okay, thank you so much for sharing because, oh, Trevor.
Oh, but it's okay. I speak for my family. I had the privilege of calling Travis friend and then family member, brother-in-law, and then finally coworker. TUD's taken care of me for the last 23 years, but really over the last 2 to 3 weeks is really where it's shined through the great people that work here and make this place what it is. Travis's loss will be most felt there because he exemplified that. Just second nature to him to be a good person. And that loss is going to be tough to replace. He did his job well as an accountant. Attention to detail was just second nature, and anyone could tell that by their first encounter with him. Along with that smile, genuine and true. So my sincerest, again, thank you to the great people, our coworkers, for your kind condolences, generous contributions, volunteering at his reception. Shout out to the Pesci family for coordinating and preparing the fabulous food. Abby, for your difficult task of working with us to get his final affairs in order. And lastly, your stories here today. It's the warmest reminder of how a spirit will live on and be remembered. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Okay, well, we're going to continue on with the resolution. And finally, whereas as much as Travis was dear to all at work, as you just heard, even more, he was a loving husband to his wife, Tracy, amazing father, doting father to his 3 children, Brennan, Cassie, Audria, a son, a brother, an uncle, and so much more to those in his life.
Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Directors of Tuolumne Utilities District, on behalf of its employees and community served, recognizes the significant contributions of Travis Emerald over the course of his distinguished career and mourns his passing. And it extends its sincerest condolences to his wife Tracy and his three children, Brennan, Cassie, and Audria, his family members, and friends. I'll accept a motion to pass the resolution.
I'll move.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to pass the resolution regarding Travis Emerald's contributions to TUD. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Thank you all very much, and we're going to take a 10-minute recess. Good. Okay, we'll reconvene the meeting here at 9:26. Thank you, Abby and Melissa and the rest of the staff that put that together. Okay. Getting back on with the meeting, public forum. We'd like to welcome the members of the public who have taken the time to attend this meeting and provide comments on matters related to district business. Any member of the public may address the board relating to any matter within the board's jurisdiction. This need not be related to any item on the agenda. However, the board cannot act on an item unless it was noticed on the agenda. Persons speaking during the public comment will be limited to 5 minutes, or depending on the number of persons wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all members of the public the opportunity to address the board. Seeing none here and present, we'll move on. Corey, is there anybody on Zoom? Okay. We'll close public comment. Melissa, consent calendar.
Okay, item number 1, minutes of the regular board meeting of March 26, 2024. Item number 2, approval of reimbursement claims for director's statement of meetings attended and or travel expenses and claim summary for March 2024.
Would anybody like to pull an item from the consent calendar? Director Ringen.
Okay. Page 5, California Department Fish and Wildlife, our favorite people. Phoenix Lake and stream bed alteration extension. Is this for permit from the first project, or is this for a permit for the damages from the rain event?
So this is for FEMA, working with them to try and get reimbursement to fix the damage.
That's really a long ongoing mess, huh?
Yes.
Okay. And it's funny how everybody gets their hands in our back pocket. How's that happen? Page 6, contact Engineered Solutions, LLC, Shaw's Flat, Sullivan Creek Bridge Deposit. What is that? That's, I think, the first time I've ever heard of that.
In the capital schedule, we have a project to replace a pipeline crossing Sullivan Creek near Scenic View, Scenic Brook area. It's the raw water feed that comes out of Phoenix Lake. And the abutments are severely, the board's seen some photos, they're severely eroded.
Yeah.
So this is a deposit for the design of a new bridge structure so that we can replace that in the next fiscal year.
Okay, great. I remember that now, the pictures, it was pretty scary. Page 7. These guys, they irritate me beyond belief. Department of Water Resources, dam fees. Come on, almost $50,000.
That's for Quartz and Phoenix Lake.
Quartz and Phoenix.
Yes.
Okay.
It just never ends.
We don't pay for the San Diego. The college owns that. Okay.
Page 8, Environmental Science Associates. BOR water contract plus 2 others, consultant, or what is that?
So Environmental Science Associates, in regards to the BOR water contract, they are doing the NEPA documentation to support our Central Valley water project, a long-term water service contract for 6,000 acre feet. It's a cost share with the Chicken Ranch tribe. They're paying 58% and we pay 42%, but we're the custodian of all the funds. So that's the full invoice amount. And then Carolyn's staff will issue an invoice to Chicken Ranch for their share.
Okay.
And then the other items, Sierra Pines permitting. The board knows what that is. That's the final closeout of all the environmental work and securing permits for that project. So that's the last invoice you should see from them on that. And then CIP reclamation system improvements in support of extending water main through reclamation water main through the Betty West property.
I don't want to get off into the weeds here, but I hope we're going to do something with that Betty West property one of these days, rather than just have it sit there. Page 11, HDR Engineering Incorporated. 9,000, almost $700. What's that for?
They're doing some work for us on the Columbia Hydro project on the hydro station down there.
Wow. It's a lot of money.
Director Balin has a question too.
Is that on the pumps? What?
It's on that station, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Wow. Last one is page 18. Robertson Bryan Incorporated. Regional wastewater treatment plant. Permitting. A lot of permitting there, dollar wise.
That's true. That's been an expensive pursuit, but it is nearing the end in terms of getting our new permit for the regional wastewater treatment plant. RBI has been the lead on coordinating with the State Water Board on that, and it's on the April 19th agenda to adopt. It's in the uncontested part of the agenda, so they've done a really good job for us. But yes, that's all the permitting related to the new wastewater plant, and then also permitting on the reclamation system side as well.
Why does it come up at the end? Why wasn't this at the beginning?
We've been working on this for more than a year, actually. It's just taken that long.
It'd be nice to have that project finally wrapped up. Man. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else have anything they'd like to pull off consent calendar? If not, if there's no additions or deletions, I'll accept a motion to approve.
I move, we approve.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, next item, Melissa, number 4.
Okay, consider awarding contract to Superior Tank Inc. for the Mono Village Tank Replacement Project.
Hello. Yadiel DiMattei, Associate Engineer here with the district. Yeah, so this is the Mono Village Tank Replacement Project. You'll recall that Mono Village area on the off of Hillsdale Road had 3 water tanks. Those water tanks supply both storage and fire flow to that area. You'll probably also recall that about last July to August, we did an inspection on those 3 tanks and found that at least 2 of them were in very poor condition and structurally compromised. After discovering that, we made some changes in our distribution system and drained the 2 worst tanks so that way they wouldn't pose a threat to causing any damage. Let's see. So since then, we've been working with that discovery bumped this project up on our priority list to get it done as soon as possible. Since then, we've gotten geotechnical reporting on it and have completed the design in-house and put it out to bid. There were 3 bids. Sorry, 2 bids. One from Superior Tank and the other from Paso Robles Tank. The engineer's estimate was right in between the 2 bids, which is always good that there's no surprises there. And the lowest bid is the lowest where it was determined responsible and responsive, and they were below our budget. So that's good news as well. We're recommending today that you award to Superior Tank. We have worked with them before. They built our Zone 2 tank in the confidence area back in 2012. And that tank is literally our example of how we want a bolted steel tank to look and perform. The coatings are performing very well. They had ventilation on it, which isn't something, good ventilation on it, which isn't something that all tanks just come with. That one did come with it, and it's really performing well, preventing corrosion in the headspace of the tank. So, yeah, that's the long and short of it. Can I answer any questions?
I got a couple questions. So, Gadiel, for those of us doing the math at home, how much was the total storage of the 3 tanks that we're replacing? Roughly.
It was up to 450 about.
Okay, and we're replacing this with a 210,000 gallon tank. Must be reasons for that, right?
Yes. So the long-term outlook for this tank site is in question. We know that we want and need storage there right now. Okay. After Sierra Pines, after we make improvements on our distribution system, we have some decisions to make about this site. So yeah, we do feel confident that there's enough volume there to provide fire suppression for that area just with the 210,000 gallons. And in the future, we can make the decision to let that tank run out its useful life and tear it down, knowing that we have other volume coming in from basically the upper basin system. Or we can decide to build another tank there and get more storage and also the redundancy of tanks there.
Okay, and you mentioned it is going to be similar to the tank at Zone 2. And I think I saw in here, it's been a couple of days since I read through there, but this is going to be a forgot the term, but the rafters and the superstructure is exterior, correct?
Yes.
And so that's been a success, correct? On the tanks that we have, as opposed to the old way of doing it with the interior, and the coatings hold up better, I assume?
Yes, absolutely. We are TUD has been an early adopter of that technology, and we're very impressed with the performance. And we've done it on both bolted steel and welded steel tanks. Again, we were early adopters there, and it's just most of the corrosion happens in the headspace of your tank, the part of the tank that's not underwater, and corrosion will be targeted in areas where there's corners, where it's hard to get coated all the way around things like rafters and bolts. So the idea is you eliminate the amount of corners and hard spaces to coat, and you reduce that as much as possible inside your tank, and your tank's going to perform better.
Good. All right. Thank you. That's all I have. Anybody else? Ron?
The third tank, the one that was left up, what's happening with it? Is it going to remain?
It needs to remain in service during the construction of this tank. Poses a few construction challenges, but after we construct this new tank, we're going to demolish that one. We picked the best one to keep in service, but it's still by no means in good condition. So it needs to be torn down.
So why are we going with a bolted steel tank instead of welded? Is that because it has a possibility of being torn down after it goes through its life history? So we're not spending any, more money for the welded type? We're not looking for real longevity then?
That's correct. Bolted steel is a cheaper upfront investment than welded steel in a tank this size. And we're revisiting that, and we're constantly watching the market for that because that's not a given and that's not a guarantee all the time. But in this case, that's true.
So from what you were saying just a little earlier, it sounds like the chances of another tank being built on that site is so that maybe it'll be supplied by Sierra Pines by gravity, and so we might not need another tank there or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, we need to decide that in the future. There are pros and cons to keeping it there, and there are pros and cons to using storage other places. Development could happen in the area as well. Where we have all this, we have the beginnings of a master plan for our tanks, and we are constantly updating that in that, the different things that happen in our county and in development make a difference in where we want our storage.
So one way or another, you've got 60 to 80 years to figure it out.
Probably less than that, 40.
40, tanks gotta last longer than 40.
Mhm.
A tank has to last longer than 40 years.
Yeah, we can. This bolted steel tank is gonna last at least 30, and we could probably extend it to 40 with good maintenance.
Huh.
Mhm.
I thought they would last longer than that. Okay, well, that's it for me.
Anybody else? Director Jacobs?
Thank you for your presentation, Gadiel. So just to step back a little bit, educate the board and ratepayers, what are kind of the major, just a real high flyover, major types of tanks, construction and longevity, price, price benefit longevity. I know we've talked in the past about glass, using the glass technology. And I have confidence that you and the staff are doing what's best and most cost effective. And, so I'm not questioning that, but just kind of a refresher, a primer on different kinds of tanks, cost, longevity.
Sure. Real briefly and real big, real high flyover. Basically, your bolted steel tanks are the cheapest upfront capital investment, especially when they're small. When they get bigger, it's a good idea to start looking at welded steel tanks for both, because the upfront capital kind of get closer together as far as welded versus bolted, and then the longevity as well. Currently, it's safe to say that a welded steel tank has a better return on a life cycle cost analysis. Of course, that doesn't play here because we're thinking there's a limited life on this tank. So you got your bolted steel, the cheapest, welded steel slightly is more expensive, but can get a better lifespan. Glass fused is in the mix too. We don't have any glass fused tanks, but we've toured other agencies that do, interviewing them about the pros and cons of it. Those are a higher upfront investment, but also are supposed to have a longer life cycle return on your investment, because there's not supposed to be any maintenance for 100 years, right? At least that's the claim from the industry, right? That's the claims from the salespeople. There's other disadvantages to them, as like if it is damaged, you have to replace an entire panel. There's no such thing as fixing it with coatings or anything like that. And then probably the most expensive upfront cost would be a concrete tank. And again, supposedly, you're not gonna have to maintain that ever for 100 years. At least that's what the salespeople say. Is that about what you were looking for?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes.
Got one more follow-up question if nobody else has anything. Barbara Jenny? I'm gonna ask the old man question here. Years ago, we could take down steel bolted tanks and use them again. Is that, have the rules and regulations passed that now? Are we beyond that, or is it? Or if some point in the future we were gonna take this down and we needed a tank somewhere else, would that even be a possibility anymore or not?
It might be. These newer tanks, these newer bolted tanks, are really nice. The one that we have, I watch it get erected, and I've been watching that tank every year, as a model, because we've learned at TUD, we've learned a lot of things over the years about properly construct tanks and maintain tanks. So that's kind of a model. Most of the steel bolted tanks. What working? Most of the bolted steel tanks that we have had in the past were tanks that we acquired with some system, right? TUD up until recently didn't construct tanks. They're all that we had.
They were inherited.
80, let's just say there was 75 of those tanks. I can only think of one that might be in a good enough condition that you could unbolt. And I'm talking about the Columbia Vista tank, 60,000 gallon bolted tank, came with the Columbia Vista system that was primarily just a well system before we took it over. That is the only tank that might be able to be refurbished and put someplace else. But when we talk with other tank vendors like Superior or some of the others, they're not interested in doing that. It's because the coatings, the quality of the coatings and the gasket material just isn't there. That tank is from the early 90s.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, maybe with the better coatings nowadays, maybe that'd be an option down the line. So I was just asking the question, so.
Time
They
would come,
tell, I
they
guess,
come
huh?
pre-coated, right? The tanks, the bolted steel tanks, they come pre-coated
Okay.
factories, you know.
Just the cleanup would be horrible.
Yeah.
And, disassembling and
Yeah, I know. Like I say, years ago, that was always an option, but I realize, excuse me, time and regulations change things, so.
Well,
just
to
a
answer
question.
part of your question, there's nothing in the regulations that prevent us from doing it.
Okay, good to know.
I mean, if you disinfect your tank right, then we're good to go. And, building code is something to worry about as well, but as long as you're meeting those standards, you can reuse the tank.
Director Jacobs, you had a comment?
Yeah, just a quick question, kind of left field. Do we have any wooden tanks in our system?
Yes, we do.
And I presume we don't do that anymore.
We don't build those anymore.
Just curious, how many do we have? 2. Okay, thanks.
They're up on Omen Drive above the Willow Springs subdivision.
Yeah, I heard rumors in Miwok, the woodpeckers are attacking the one we have there.
Oh, boy.
All right. That's fine. Thanks.
Need good neighbors.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments from the board? If not, we'll open it to public comment. Seeing no one here, Corey? Nope. Okay, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll move.
Okay.
Okay, I'll move that we approve this item and authorize the general manager to execute a construction agreement with Superior Tank, Inc.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the staff recommendation on the Superior Tank contract. Is there any further comment? Seeing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Gadiel. Good job. Okay, staff reports.
All right, I'll go first real quick. Yesterday afternoon and evening, I attended 2 meetings. The first one being the Tuolumne County Special District Association meeting. Pete Campa chairs that, and not a huge turnout. And I know Pete and the rest of us would like more involvement with it. It's an upstart, new chapter. We meet quarterly. The topic of the discussion was LAFCO. We also provided a LAFCO 101. So those of us who wanted to know more about LAFCO was there. We talked about, what's the purpose of municipal service reviews and why they're important to special districts and cities and counties. We had a brief discussion about LAFCO's April 8th meeting agenda, including TUD and Jamestown's MSRs. And really, there's not a lot to report there, but there was some discussion, but nothing in depth. And I chose not to really dive deep into that conversation because staff and I want to bring to this board a full-throated discussion before I'm out and about talking about these things to other agencies. I feel I owe this board a lot of information before I just start talking about it out there in the public. So, and then, yeah, that's about it. Oh, they launched this association has launched a new website, and we use Streamline Streamline offers these free website maintenance for free to special districts of this size. So anyway, and then the second meeting was started at 4, same location, thankfully, was the actual monthly LAFCO meeting. Director Jacobs was here at this one as well, both of them. And, TUD wasn't necessarily on the agenda like I thought it might be, but it eventually did, TUD and Jamestown were brought up several times in the discussion revolving around the work plan and budgeting and things of that nature. So, again, not much to report there. I did have a few words, because there was some confusion about what our, resolution contained. They hadn't, the commission hadn't yet seen the resolution, or at least wasn't provided formally the resolution. So I briefly went up and explained what, and briefly what the resolution was trying to say. And then on that note, as you all can see, we just received some instructions or whatever we're going to have to do on our municipal service review. It was interesting. It didn't dawn on me until just now, but this came from Hinman and Associates Consulting versus Helix Environmental Services. So I'll have to inquire with Quincy why we got something from them versus Helix, which is who the contract was signed with by LAFCO. So anyway, that's all I have to report.
Okay. Who's next?
Don't have a whole lot. Ian too and I met with CAL FIRE last week and went over fire water draft points and some of the grant for the shaded fuel breaks and things we're looking at throughout the ditch system. It was a good meeting, good dialogue. It was nice to talk to them finally about this. And then the only other thing is we did take a big hit on the lower ditch system with the snow levels. They're still cleaning up trees and going to be for a while. So I think Friday night's count at 7:30 was 140 trees. And that was about half of 2 ditches. So they've got a long ways to go.
Just wanted to update the board as we race to the finish line on our fiscal year and our capital program. We have probably $3 million plus kind of in process here with outside contractors in addition to the work our own crews are doing. And that includes some development work. So we have the Nine Sisters tank, which the tribe, the Tuolumne Band is building with Moyle excavation. And so they're in grading operations when things dry out here. Zone 4 tank, RDC construction from Carson City just to remobilize to the site. So they're going to start sandblasting here next week. And then coding, and we have a coatings inspector helping us out with that job. Techite, this board executed or authorized Don to execute an agreement with DA Wood Construction, and they're hoping to start that project next week. Mono Village Lift Station Bypass, if you came down Mono Bay, you may have seen some activity there. They were doing some potholing earlier. Nearich, that is, was doing some potholing, and then they're going to start doing some mainline trenching here pretty soon. And then you just authorized execution of an agreement with Superior Tank for Mono Village. So we'll be moving as quickly as we can on that, but some of that's going to spill over into fiscal year.
Good one. So as a team right now, we are currently regrouping a bit, but I just wanted to commend my staff. They have been fantastic. They're all hard workers. They're all hands on deck, every single one of them. So a little bit of regrouping at the moment, but what you'll be seeing coming before the board in the next couple of months is the quarterly financials through the end of March, as well as it is budget season. So you'll be seeing the budget as well in probably in May and June.
Don't know. Hello. Okay, I just want to echo Carolyn's, not to sound repetitive, but the last few weeks have been very difficult for us here, and I'm just really, really proud to work here. And with such amazing people that just can dig deep. And anyway, Carolyn's done an outstanding job leading the team through this really hard time. And anyway, and I just really wanted to thank you again for the opportunity to do honor Travis this morning. Coming up, we are participating in the Home and Garden Show. That's Saturday and Sunday, April 20th and 21st. So we're looking forward to being out there in the community and sharing some information about TUD with some photos, things about all systems, all water, wastewater, raw water, watershed, displays, and also encourage folks to sign up for auto bill pay and e-bills, and just to help us get emergency contact information for folks so that when we have emergencies that we can get accurate information and get the word out as soon as possible. So we've been working on that. It was mentioned earlier, so I thought I would give a quick update on FEMA. And we had 2 disasters that started December of 2022. That went through January of 2023 and then February and March of 2023. So 2 separate disasters, and both of those afforded us to the public assistance program through FEMA for reimbursement for damages that occurred through that time. We have 16 to 18 projects that are classified under those 2 disasters that we're awaiting decisions on. Still working through the process. On some projects, it's much more slower than on others, but still continuing to gather information with our 5th PDMG, which is a project manager through FEMA throughout this time. So it's been a little bit bumpy, but we are moving forward, and we do have a few projects that are obligated, some of the smaller ones, but we still haven't received any funding for. So we'll continue to keep you updated on that. And then in the raw water group, we have one of our newer employees, Cole Elkins, obtained his D1. So congratulations to Cole. And that's the end of my report today, unless anyone has any questions. Thank you.
Director Jacobs.
Thank you so much for the all your efforts with Travis's passing. It's deeply touching to see see the company, see the organization and the staff come together in the tribute, which was marvelous. And just my question would be, as board members, is there anything more that we could do to support the 2 of you, Carolyn and Abby, to help us through this transition? What if there's anything more that we could do to help? Please let us know. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it from staff. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, we'll move on to directors. So let's just go down the list. Let's start over here with David, Director Boatwright.
Let's see, attended a tour at the Sonora Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant with Eric and Eric Hall and Jennifer Batt. Very informative. Look forward to seeing how all the bugs, so to speak, all the bugs get worked out down there and everything gets balanced out. It'll take a bit of time, and then I'm sure looking at how more efficient that plant is versus the conventional wastewater treatment plant we had. So look forward to seeing that.
Okay, thank you, Director Boatwright. Director Ringen.
Okay. On 3/27, attended and participated in the reclamation users meeting. I've attended every one of those and always look forward to it, to see those folks and listen to the various comments and things like that. I hope that things keep moving along at a good pace with that in a positive way. 4-3, attended, participated in the Tuolumne County Natural Resource Committee meeting. And I'm glad that I did. There was a lot that was talked about, questions and so on, that I was able to answer from the group. And it's just amazing how little is known out there about what TUD is actually doing and so on. And so education is something we need to work on a little bit, I think. 4-4 was attended and participated in the Mountain Counties Water Resource Association reception. That was interesting, between snow and sun. Didn't know whether what I was going to be looking at to get home, but it all worked out. The high point was being able to talk to our representatives. I took the time to be able to speak to both our senator and to our legislator representative. And first time I'd met him, as a matter of fact, and he's an interesting person. So, but it's good to know that we have legislators that know that we don't have water rights and are supporting us in trying to get them. So, and whatever else it takes to keep this area in water. On 4-6, attended and participated in the Restoring the Stanislaus Watershed Symposium. It was an all-day event, 8:30 in the morning until God knows at what time at night, 9 o'clock, something like that. This is something that I think that staff and the board to a certain extent, but mostly staff, is going to have to keep an eye on. It's very interesting. This is a group that wants to restore the South Fork Stanislaus River flow. And I don't know how you're going to do that without taking out New Maloney's dam or operating that dam in a different manner to where the water is at the level of the old Maloney's dam. So I went because it concerned me, and I went as a learning situation, which I got an earful, and I see kind of where they're going. So I'm just saying that it's something that you folks better keep on your radar. The other thing that brings to mind is, and I don't remember what years it was, but I know that I toured, if you want to call it that, went out and looked at the pump station that pulls our water out of New Maloney's. And I was out there once when the pickups were covered with water. I was there when they were high and dry during the drought. And then also during the middle of the drought, we had a heavy winter, and I was there to see the pickups covered completely with silt. So where I'm going with this is I think it's time, like you've got any time to do anything more, but I think that there needs to be some time set aside to dust off some of the work that Tom Sasha had gone through as far as getting good water to those pickups, and what it's going to take to do something along that line. We've had 2 pretty good winters now. I can only imagine what the silt situation is down there. And if all of a sudden, which I hope it doesn't, of course, flip-flops and we go back into drought, we, especially with us now being able to pretty soon be able to pull water out, maybe we'll need that water. And if those pickups are not operable, we'll be in trouble. We won't be able to access that water. So my suggestion is to, on that 4-page, five-year thing that Don has that only Superman could accomplish in that length of time, unless he had $100 million handed to him, you need to put one more line item on it. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Oh, one last thing, I'm sorry. One of the things that I also picked up there was a new phrase I'd never heard, cultural burning. Eric, I think you're gonna be very interested in this. This is what the they had some tribes there. And they don't like the way CAL FIRE and the Forest Service do their forest management. They want cultural burning. So I had, you know me, I can't keep my mouth shut. I had to ask him just how in that world, as they kind of explained how they prep around certain bushes and trees and trim them up and all that. And I just had to ask him, how are you gonna pay for that? I mean, you can go to CAL FIRE and you can go to the Forest Service and you can say this is the way to do it, the proper way. But then where's the money gonna come from for those folks out there in the field working on it? So coming to your neighborhood soon. That's it.
Director Balin?
I just have to clarify cultural burning because they've been doing it for a millennia in the Sierra, which is a cultural landscape. So it means burning and using nature to augment and enhance the biodiversity. So there's good data on that, you know, the elders would do spring burnings to clear the openings and, you know, burn all the weevils and things. So yeah, it's a little more labor intensive, but it's.
Yeah, I'm
it's
not
for-
knocking it.
Yeah.
It sounded good. I'm just, you know, I'm a realist. How do you pay for it?
Okay, the only thing I have to report is on Thursday of April 4th, we held the Mountain County Water Resources Association high-level mixer, if you will, and I felt it was very well attended. We did have a low elevation snow that was snowing as we were meeting, but it didn't detour anyone. We had a full house. And in fact, US Representative Tom McClintock was there and he had talked about how he was instrumental in getting money for CCWD for their Copper Cove and Tulloch projects. We had Assemblyman Patterson, which I won't go there. I mean, and thank you for introducing him. That was great. And as you know, he replaced Assemblyman Bigelow. And then I had the pleasure of introducing State Senator for our area, Marie Alvarado Gill. And any rate, it was very well attended and yeah, and unfortunately, but I want to thank staff. We had to cancel the following day because so many people were anxious to get home and see what you know, the limb damage, the tree damage had done to their own properties. But it was very well attended and gave people an opportunity to meet and greet. And Columbia City Hotel did a stellar job.
Director Balin, I think you did a splendid job, outstanding job of leading the whole front there.
Yes.
I know you tried to give me some of that credit and I don't deserve any of it. You did a great job introducing Maria Alvarado Gill. The whole thing was really, really, really nice. So I was appreciated just being part of it.
Thank you. And thank you, Eric, for attending as well and the others too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna wait until my turn to talk, but since Dawn brought it up, you really did an awesome job on that, Barbara. And this was your brainchild. You set it up. You were the point person on this. You know, it was your idea to have it at the City Hotel in Columbia, and it really went off without a hitch. especially when you consider the weather that we had. And so anyway, I just wanted to tell you that in public. So good job. Director Ringen?
I just had one quick question for Director Balin. What's gonna happen with the board meeting that got canceled? Are they gonna be able to make it up or what? Because there was some important items on that agenda. It'll be held at 9 o'clock via Zoom Friday morning. Okay. And yeah, and thanks staff and Melissa for helping.
Okay, Glenn, Director Jacobs?
Thank you. First of all, I want to publicly apologize to the board for not doing a better job of reporting out of activities, particularly LAFCO. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. I will do a better job in the future. And if I get too wordy, Jeff, you can take the hook and pull me off the stage. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to report. And one thing I like to say, last week marked my 1-year anniversary on this board. And as the rookie, I can't tell you how much I appreciate each one of you. I'm honored to serve with such great men and women. The service that all of you have done to this county, for this county over the past decades has been deeply appreciated by me and my family and my grandkids to come. Director Barbara in particular, you've served for over 2 decades, and you've been instrumental in so many of the wonderful things that have happened with TUD, and I appreciate that very much. Director Ringen, not quite as long as Director Balin, but your the time that you invest in TUD matters is just phenomenal. The depth of your knowledge and the intimacy of the workings that you have are a real treasure. And I want to commend you for that and thank you for your commitment and your dedication. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. And Director Boatwright, just your background and with all the history you have with TUD, your perspective is unique and it's extremely valuable. And we're so glad that you're back today and hope, just very, very appreciative of that. And Jeff, thank you. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. I had no idea the time and effort that a chairman of a president of a board like this puts in, but there are countless hours that nobody knows about, nobody sees, that Jeff has dedicated, taking time away from his family, his businesses, and just deeply, deeply committed to, as all of us are, as all of you are, to the well-being and the safety of this county and the well-being of this district. So I want to commend each of you and thank you for allowing me to privilege of I'm honored to serve with you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. So I have lots to report. So I'll dive in. I'll be brief, but I welcome any questions that you might have. So I'd be happy to expand. I'm just going to do the highlights because I've already taken more time than I probably should have. So on the March 27th, as Ron had mentioned, Director Ringen had mentioned, we had a TUD reclamation luncheon here, which gave me an opportunity to meet some folks that I haven't seen in a while. One in particular stood out to me for who was very vocal with the raw water increases. So he took the opportunity to echo his concerns about what he felt is unreasonable raw water charges. So I promised him I would be following up with him to learn more about that. If somebody doesn't feel like they're getting a fair shake, even though it may make total economic engineering sense. If somebody doesn't, one of our ratepayers, any of our ratepayers doesn't feel they're getting a fair shake, as a director, I feel I need to have an open ear, an open door, to hear them out. And maybe review some things that, have just kind of been taken for granted or just kind of evolved over the years. And in the light of new developments, in the light of new approaches, fresh look at things, we might want to make some adjustments. So that's something I'll be following up with in the weeks to come. So that was on March 27th. On April 2nd, we had a TUD workshop, board priorities workshop. Many of you were able to watch that were interested. So I'm very excited about TUD forward-looking, coming up with strategies and priorities and missions and values. I don't see any earth-shaking changes, but just to bring clarity into what we're about so that we as board members can do a better job and provide the direction that's needed to staff to accomplish TUD's next. Then on April 4th, as was mentioned before, there was a meeting of the Mountain County Water Resources Agency at Columbia. That was very, very well done. Thank you again, Barbara. One of the most remarkable times I had there was meeting our state senator Marie Alvarado Gill. I was just taken aback by her dedication and her background. She has endured numerous family tragedies and has stepped up to really serve our well. And she has a real heartfelt appreciation for the work that we do as a board and as we do as a district. So I was very pleased that we have someone of her caliber and her sincerity and her energy to support our efforts. So she is a great resource. I think we should do everything we can to strengthen and move that relationship forward. So that was on April 4th. Also on April 4th, prior to the meeting at Columbia, there was a meeting of the Tuolumne County Business Association. Did I get that right, Jeff?
Mm-hmm.
And
Business Council.
Business Council, and Representative Congressman help me.
Tom McClintock.
Tom McClintock was there. I didn't have an opportunity to say anything, but there was a room probably with about 30 plus people that included boards of supervisor members, city council members, members of a lot of the key organizations in the county. And he was I was surprised at his knowledge of issues that affect us. So I think we have an advocate there that we should take whatever measures we can to strengthen and to keep him abreast, because he seems to be very engaged and very interested. And again, I was surprised at his knowledge of our a lot of the specifics that we face in this county. Then on yesterday was started at 2:00 with California, the local chapter of the California Special Districts Association. Pete Campa, who most of you have seen, has testified here a number of times. I'm thankful that Don took time out of his busy schedule to join us, and LAFCO was front and center, and I could spend a lot of time talking about LAFCO and I'd be welcome to answer any questions. The key thing I want to leave with you is, so LAFCO recognizes the urgency and importance of the resolution that we passed last meeting. And so they're having a special meeting and it hasn't been formalized yet, but the discussion yesterday was in 2 weeks, which would be not next Monday, but the following Monday. There would be a special meeting of LAFCO, and one of the items front and center will be discussing the TUD resolution that we passed at last meeting. There's a lot of other things. Again, I'm wide open for questions, but I wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. Thank you, Director Jacobs. Okay, the only thing I have to report on is the Mountain County's reception as well. Again, great job, Barbara. You know, there was a lot of very interesting people there. It's not often when you have a chance to be in a small setting like that, where you have your state assemblyman, your state senator, and your congressional representative right there in the room, where you can go up, shake their hand, talk to them. And so I'm glad that those of us that attended were there, because those are rare. Those are rare opportunities. And it might be a long time before that happens again. So I'm glad that we were all there. There was one other thing on that too I was going to mention, and it slipped my mind. So I guess worry about that later. So, okay. If anybody doesn't have anything else,